Hello and welcome to Unacademy, one-stop destination for English medium civil services aspirants. UPSC has just released the notification for the examination of civil services for 2025. With that, the cycle of examination starts and the date of prelims has been announced to be 25th of May. Now, whenever that notification is released, that means whenever the date of prelims is finally announced, that creates a lot of anxious moments and anxiety amongst the candidates. And rightfully so. Candidates are worried that when do I cover the GS subjects? When do I cover the CSAT? When do I cover the current affairs? And when do I revise? There are also recommendations about coverage of previous year questions. And there are also recommendations to attempt the test series. There are so many things on the platter that the candidates are left confused, and many of the times that confusion leads to a loss of productive time period. In this particular video, the aim is to solve all those kind of queries and all those kind of doubts and hesitations that you have. What to do and how to plan your schedule for those 4 months. These 4 months, that is the 120 days up till the prelims, that is going to be a deciding factor whether you are able to achieve your dream or whether you are forced to repeat the cycle once again. So that is why understanding the nuances of the schedule, understanding how to approach the various subjects, what subject to cover at what point of time, that is what we are going to talk about. Now, before we jump into the analysis and jump into the details, an announcement for all of you, the candidates who want to sharpen your preparation and who want to clear the civil services examination in the first attempt. Oftentimes, they are faced with a lot of dilemmas, which optional subject to choose, how to go for answer writing, whether note making for current affairs is required or not, how to approach the paper, which test series to take into. So, in order to solve all those doubts, all those queries, we are holding an offline seminar and an offline workshop in Hyderabad on 25th of January, that is Saturday. So join Sarmad Sir, myself and Himabindu ma'am for one-on-one interaction and personalized doubt solving. Join that session and get all the doubts resolved. The link for registering for that seminar is provided in the description below. Having said that, when we talk about the strategy for these final 4 months, the strategy should entail what? What should your strategy be? So there has to be 3 pillars for your entire coverage of the syllabus for these 4 months. First of all, you have to ensure that there are daily targets that you set. And on a daily basis, you set a subject-based target. For example, let's suppose I am picking a subject like polity. So today, if I am picking polity, I have to study these 20 pages or at least these few topics. And always go for the topic-based target setting. That will ensure that you are able to track your progress as well and you have ample time to revise. Then very important is to consolidate the materials. Most of us throughout the year would have downloaded one PDF after another, one source after another, one particular study book after another, and we would have prepared our own notes as well. Obviously, not everything would be able, or you would not be able to revise everything in one go. So, what is it that you should do? How is it that you should proceed? So, right now, you should be consolidating the study materials. The reference books and the notes that you have prepared. That's it. For current affairs, do trust the monthly magazine, whichever monthly magazine that you have been following. In case you are not following the monthly magazine compilation, any compilation of the monthly magazine, whichever you like, do follow that religiously. And then go for the practice through previous year questions and test series. This is one of the very vital areas of the preparation. Without attempting the test series and without looking at the previous year question, it is like shooting in the dark. Now, most of the candidates, they have the perception that let me cover the entirety of the syllabus, then I will appear for the test series. But that day never comes in the life of a civil services candidate that my preparation is finally complete. So that day will never come when you will have the ample opportunity to pick up the test series. So start picking up the test series and the previous year questions now and analyze how to improve. So how to practice those test series? What are the areas to extract? That is also something that we are going to discuss in the end of this video. Now, first of all, when you are preparing your schedule, how do you prepare your schedule when you have only 4 months for the preparation of the prelims examination? Let's assume that till now you have had a brief idea about the GS subjects. That's it. And that is your preparation. From that, how to ensure that you reach the peak of your performance by the time of the prelims exam. So there are certain step-by-step procedures if you want to prepare your own schedule. If let's suppose that is still very confusing for you, then I will be providing you with the detailed schedule that you can follow as well. So hang on for a moment. But before that, let us talk about the key areas that has to be kept in mind. First of all, divide the 120 days that are there. You have 120 days for the examination. Divide those 120 days into phases, right? Into chunks of time. Ideally, I would suggest to you that divide it into 6 phases of 20 days each. Now, this can vary from one candidate to another, depending upon your level of preparation. If let's suppose you have already prepared significantly, then you can reduce these phases to 15 days as well. What is the logic of dividing the time period in phases? So that within this time period, within each of the phase, you should be able to complete one GS subject, a major GS subject. That should be the aim here. So that is why 20 days each is an apt time. Even if you have just a very basic idea about the syllabus, 20 days is sufficient for the coverage if you provide that amount of input. Now you have to understand your own daily biological cycle as well and your own daily biological clock as well, in the sense that when you wake up in the morning, it is not as if you are going to be significantly productive throughout the 24 hours of the day. There are going to be phases of high productivity, and during the entire day, you also have phases of very low productivity. So basically, you have 2 slots of maximum productivity. Generally, one in the morning, roughly around 9 to 11 or 10 to 12:30. So that is depending upon when you wake up. So let's assume that you have one such phase in the morning, and in the evening 6 to 8, 7 to 9, like that you have another productive phase. So one in the morning and one in the evening. Accordingly, you plan your schedule. That in these productive times, right, what you have to target. So in these productive times, you have to target the GS subjects. Then you have 2 slots of reduced concentration during the day. One is in the afternoon, generally after, let's suppose, 1 p.m. up till around 6 p.m. and then after 8 p.m. maybe post dinner as well. That is again a phase where you don't want to study something bulky and you want to keep it light. So what to do in that case? That is where you have to target some of the PYQs, places in news, reports and indices, everything you have to target in that case. And then finally, but most importantly, classify the GS subjects. Understand the enemy that you are trying to defeat. So basically, when we talk about the GS subjects, you have the 4 major GS subjects. Which are those? Now, amongst the 4 major, you have polity, then you have economy, then after that, you have geography, and you also have history, right? These are the 4 major GS subjects, the big 4 subjects as they are referred to. Now, these have to be dealt with greater amount of time period. But along with that, you have other subjects also which carry around 10 to 12 questions, 13 questions, 15 questions in the case of environment ecology, 10 questions in the case of IR. Now, those also become important. So there you have to classify them into the other minor subjects. So here you will have science and tech. Then after that you have environment, you have art and culture, where you have to study the architecture, the dance forms, etc. And then also you have the portion of IR, international relations. Now IR is going to be primarily driven by the portion of current affairs. So that is what we are going to target when we talk about the schedule as well. So like this, break down the task which is at hand. Once you are able to achieve that, then the planning at your end can also be customized. Try to formulate your own plan depending upon your biological clock, depending upon when you wake up, when you are most productive, and accordingly strategize. Having said that, let's suppose what should be the template of our plan. So let me show you the template of the plan based upon these phases, the 6 phases. So I am going to break it down from 25th of Jan to around 15th of Feb. Overall, from 25th of Jan to 25th of May, to be divided into 6 different phases. So from 25th of Jan to 15th of Feb, let's go for the first target setting. What we have to achieve in this. So here, when you take a look into it, if you observe, I have divided the time slots. These are my time slots of maximum productivity. 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The first time slot where you can achieve maximum concentration. So try to make maximum out of that sitting of 2.5 hours. Then after that, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now in the evening also, that is a productive time where you will be able to concentrate. Yes, depending upon, as I told you, depending upon your own schedule, you can customize it 9 a.m. to 11:30, or if you are able to sit for longer hours, then accordingly customize and you will be able to overachieve these targets as well. But this is the bare minimum which can be achieved. Now there also you can break it down to what you will do on the weekdays and how you will customize the preparation during Saturday and Sunday on the weekends. Now, how do you approach the weekdays in the first place? So in the morning slot, cover one of the GS subjects first of all. Begin with polity or a subject like geography. Now, that is where you have to give 20 days for the coverage of that particular subject. Okay, now here that is something that you are going to do on a daily basis for 2.5 hours. This includes practicing of some of the MCQs of the chapters that you have studied, or consolidation of notes for the chapters that you have already covered, or if you are reading it after a long period of time, then underlining the important portions from the book itself, so that this should be your comprehensive coverage and you will get only one opportunity to revise before the exam. So with that mindset, the study should be very, very comprehensive. Then in the afternoon, what do? Consolidate the places in news and the reports and indices which have been relevant for the past 1 year and 1.5 years. We have already come up with multiple videos for places in news, the entire playlist for the past few months about all the places which are relevant, which are in news, which can be asked in the prelims examination. That entire playlist is also indicated in the description below. Do take a look at that and do complete your preparation. Now, in the afternoon, that is where, when you have a lower productivity, that is where this consolidation can be achieved. Then when the evening time comes, now in the afternoon slot, whenever you are available, whenever you have some time, try to take out a 1 hour time window in the afternoon, ideally. Now after that, in the evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., when you are refreshed in the evening, that is when you have to cover one of the allied subjects. That is either science or art and culture. If let's suppose you have started with polity, start with science in the evening. Or if you have started with geography, start with art and culture, or any of the combination which suits you. After 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. After that, let's suppose you take a half an hour break, have dinner, have some food, get some relaxing time. After that, spend around 40 minutes on a daily basis for CSAT. Now, in CSAT, how do you practice? So take a look at the previous year question for CSAT. And based upon that, analyze which are your weaker areas. For example, let's suppose I'm taking a look at 2018 question paper for CSAT. There I have realized that my logical reasoning is a weak portion. So I will work upon that logical reasoning separately from the notes available, from the lecture videos which are available. I will revise that. In case, let's suppose I have found out that in quant, speed, distance or geometry is one of my weak areas. I will work separately for that. So that is where every day spend around 40 minutes and do that for the first 20 days. Then after that, start revising the monthly magazines for current affairs from Jan to September 2024. Right? The first 9 months of 2024. This is something which has to be done for 1 to 1.5 hours, right? Time slot accordingly, you can shift up or shift down, but this is the coverage, because when we talk about these monthly magazines and the monthly compilations of current affairs, whichever source you are following, now there you have to take a look into some of the key pointers. There you have to take a look into what are the key extracts relevant for the prelims. Then what do you do on the weekends? On the weekends, appear for the test series, test paper. Take a test paper, the entire and the complete test paper, be it a subject-based test paper or be it, let's suppose if your coverage is sufficient, then the entire full syllabus test paper, depending upon which stage of preparation you are in. Now that test paper that you have attempted for 2 hours straight, after that take a break. And after that break of around 1.5 hours, then do the analysis of that test paper in the afternoon. Now, why do I tell you to take a break after attempting the test paper is because immediately after attempting the test paper, our mind is heavily biased. So the solutions that we take a look into, the explanations that we take a look into, not all of them are ingrained in our minds. You need a fresh mind for that. You need a fresh outlook to understand that. So that is where take a break and after that analyze the test paper. Once you have started to analyze the test paper, then divide the mistakes that you have done. There would be many questions that you would not be able to attempt. There would be many areas that you have not come across. There would be many questions where you have done a negative marking as well. Isn't it? So after that, what is prescribed is divide the mistakes into columns. One is the first column is, or make a different A4 sheet paper itself, a file of A4 sheet paper itself. So in one file or in one A4 sheet paper, mark out those areas where you have committed a mistake or you have omitted the answers, not attempted the question because you did not have the content. You did not know the concept. You have not heard about that particular protected area or that place in news. You have never come across that particular act or that particular legislation. So that is what you have to list in this in a bullet point format. Very brief. There would also be those questions that you have got correct, but then that was a kind of a guesswork. Mention that as well. Okay. Then maintain a separate list where you have done mistake because of lack of concentration, in the sense that you knew the answer. If you would have read those questions separately with ample time, you could have done that correctly. But in the heat of the moment, due to lapse in concentration, due to inability to understand the language and the requirement of the question, you have got it wrong. So there, write the number of such mistakes, and also the high frequency areas where you are committing mistakes. For example, let's suppose in geography you are committing a lot of mistakes in climatology. Which portion of climatology is troubling you? For example, in polity you are doing a lot of mistakes from the questions which are asked from the chapter of Union Parliament. So list that down. So listing down of topics, topic listing. Why? So that you have a consolidated list of which areas to revise, right? Then after that, in the evening slot, study the GS paper, the main GS paper that you have selected, either polity or geography in this case. Then on Sundays, what do you do on the Sundays? Test series. In the morning, again analysis, the same kind of pattern. Go for revision of everything that you have studied during the week, because it is also important to consolidate each and everything. It might be the case that you, in your opinion, have covered, let's suppose, geography, but then after 10 days, you have no recollection of a particular topic or a particular concept. So many of the times the candidates, they tend to push it away that we will study this before the prelims. Right now, let me cover the syllabus. So that is something which is never going to work. And in the evenings, again, CSAT as well as current affairs. Mind you, even IR is going to be covered in these current affairs. So that takes your first 20 days. Okay, that is about how you approach the first 20 days. Then after that, the second phase of the 20 days, that is 15th Feb to, let's suppose, 5th of March, like that, observe. This is how you break the timetable. This is how you make it consumable. And like this, you will never be worried or intimidated that I have so much of work in front of me, I have so much to study in front of me, how will I be able to cover? This is where it appears to be very, very doable. So again, in the same format, in the same time schedule, because it is important for you to be able to sit for 2.5 hours, 2 hours at a particular stretch. Only then will you be able to concentrate for the entire duration of 2 hours in the exam as well. If right now you have a habit of sitting only for 20 minutes and then taking a break again for 20 minutes, that is going to impact you in the exam. That is why start practicing to sit for those stretches of 2.5 hours to 3 hours if possible. Now, having said that, again in the morning slot, go for the other GS subject. Let's suppose in the first phase you have covered polity, in the second phase cover geography, right? And then in the afternoon, now in the first phase, what did you cover? Places in news and reports, the entire compilation of it for the past year you have managed to do. Now this time in the afternoon, take a look at the MCQs and the PYQs of the subjects that you are covering. Those MCQs and PYQs, take a look into them. Okay, if possible, even those subjects that you have some idea about, cover those as well. And by this time, in the meanwhile, you have also covered one of the allied subjects, be it science or art and culture. So in the second stage, you will choose the other allied subject, be it art and culture or science. Whichever you have chosen in the first stage, the second allied subject you choose. Then from here, you start increasing your effort into CSAT. If you are already strong in CSAT, then you keep the time slot fixed at 40 minutes itself. But let's suppose CSAT is an area which is worrying you, then in the second slot, increase that to around 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes. Start with that. And that is where again coverage of PYQs, coverage of the topics. In the evenings, then after that, post dinner or at night, again current affairs from January to September 2024. Okay, the same kind of schedule, fix it for the weekends. That is, on Saturday early morning, appear for the test, one of the test paper, 100 questions and analysis of that in the afternoon, and in the evenings do the GS coverage of one of the major subjects that you have been doing in the morning slot. Then on Sundays, now again on Saturday and Sunday, this portion is going to remain common. That is CSAT coverage and the portion of current affairs coverage, that has to be common. It has to be maintained. Only then will you be able to surmount the entire hill and the mountain of current affairs, as well as many of the candidates feel that CSAT is a barrier. You will be able to overcome it. Then on Sunday, again, the test series, analysis, revision of the weekly study. Weekly coverage. Okay. Observe, we are keeping it very simple. But by the end of 5th of March, what is it that you have achieved? 2 major GS subjects are done. 2 major GS subjects are completed. 2 allied GS subjects are completed. Right? Then after that, you have completed the reports and indices. That is something you have completed. Then after that, you have completed the portion of current affairs from January to September 2024. This is what you have already achieved by 5th of March. The examination is still around 2 months, 2.5 months away. So think about the advantage. But more importantly, you have appeared for at least, if we just take an example, that every day or every week you are simply appearing for 2 test papers. That is the minimal that I am expecting out of you. So by this time of 5th of March, you have already appeared for around minimum of 8 to 10 tests. Which means what? How many questions have you taken a look into? You have already taken a look into 800 to 1000 MCQs. Which means what? Each MCQ, let's suppose 4 options, right? Let's suppose I have made, or I find myself short of content in at least 40 of those MCQs, right? So 400 such questions I have taken a look into where I didn't have the content, or I don't have the confidence to solve that question. Now for each one of them, if I have made 1 point note or a couple of points of notes, I have already consolidated almost around 1000 to 1200 points of content, which is going to be valuable for the exam. But do I keep on piling that content? No, I have to revise them. Otherwise, I will forget it when the same question is repeated in the prelims exam. So there, when do I revise it? On Sundays. So that is why on Sunday in the afternoon, you have to ensure revision. Okay? Then we come to the third phase. Third phase, 5th March to 25th of March. 20-day cycle. That 20-day cycle is important. Now pick up the other 2 GS subjects, either one, economy or history, in the morning slot, depending upon which is the subject that you are inclined to, which is the subject that you feel is going to take a greater point of time or greater amount of time. So that is what you have to cover. And you have to continue with the MCQs and the PYQs in the afternoon as well, right? Then after that, in the evening, cover environment and ecology, the static as well as the portion of current affairs, which you are already doing in the evening times or in the night. But the current affairs associated with environment, that is also something you can deal with. You will have ample time, you will not be in a rush, and you will be able to comprehensively cover it. Then again, the increased time for CSAT, around 1 hour 15 minutes for CSAT, topic-based analysis of CSAT. Don't touch those low-yielding topics like probability, permutation, combination. If you are weak in it, if you are strong in it, fair enough. Start taking a look into comprehensions, reading comprehensions, solve the sample questions. That is how you have to utilize those 1 hour window. And then for the portion of current affairs, now switch over to the current affairs from the month of October to February 2025. Now, see how systematically we have switched over from Jan to September, which has been covered till now, to October to February 2025. On the weekends, the same schedule. Test series in the morning, analysis in the afternoon, GS, the portion that you are covering in the morning slot on the weekdays, in the evening, and on Sundays, the test series, analysis, revision and compilation of what you have covered during the week, previously as well if possible, and the revision of the current affairs. In the evening, CSAT and current affairs. Then comes the next slot. In the next slot, again, whichever portion of GS, big portion of GS you have picked, the other GS, right? The other GS you pick up. And that is what you will cover. Let's suppose you had covered economy earlier, then start covering history, MCQs and PYQs, then the GS portion of history. In the sense, why I have put GS history in the evening as well? Because in history, you have to spend time to study ancient also, medieval also, modern also. So it might be possible that, let's suppose in the morning, I am addressing modern history. Then in the evenings, I will address ancient history. Or in cases, I can also address art and culture, right? Or medieval history. Like that, you will have flexibility because you have already covered science and tech, or you have already covered art and culture as well. You have covered the portion of environment. You are covering IR with the help of current affairs. And then the remaining portion of history is all that is going to trouble you, ancient or medieval, right? Then Saturdays, test series. Now here, you have to increase the time for current affairs and devote the equal time in CSAT. Consistency is the key, my dear friends. It should not be the case that from 25th of January to 30th of January, I'm full charged up for the prelims. I study for 10 hours, 12 hours. After that, I go for a 10-day hibernation. That should never be the case. Okay? So consistency is very important. Then again on the Saturdays, the same schedule. In the evening, finish that GS subject and revise that on Sunday. So by this time of 5th of April, what is it that you have achieved? You have achieved a full coverage of the 4 GS subjects. All the 4 GS subjects you have covered. You have covered all the allied subjects. You have covered the current affairs up till around February, right? So your current affairs is also updated. And by this point of time, you will also start gaining a lot of confidence in CSAT, because every day you are spending almost an hour on an average from 25th January all the way till 5th of April. So that means more than 100 hours you have invested in CSAT already. That will boost your confidence, increase your ability to perform in GS subjects as well, because this is very much a game of confidence as well. Sundays, keep the same time schedule of test series in the morning. That will also get your body clock ready for the exam. Then after that, 5th April to 25th April. Now this starts the phase of consolidation. This is where consolidation of the materials has to begin with all the earnest. While earlier we talked about 20-day cycle for coverage of a GS subject. Now because you have covered it comprehensively, now that has to be reduced to a 10-day cycle. So in those 20 days, you have to cover, or you will be able to cover easily for that matter, 2 GS subjects this time, right? So here in the morning slot, work on 2 of the GS subjects. So in these 20 days, the target should be polity plus economy or polity plus let's suppose geography. That should be completed, right? In the evening slot, whichever portion of history, ancient, medieval is left, cover that. But here you will observe a change in the afternoon slot, because MCQs, PYQs, you have invested a lot of time. All of that is covered now. So start appearing for test paper in the afternoon, if possible. If possible, try to align this time of test paper as per the schedule of the CSAT paper, so that your body clock gets acclimatized to being concentrated even at that time slot. That is also vital. So this is where you have to appear for the test paper. In the evenings is when you will analyze the test paper, right? Now after that, CSAT, 90 minutes, 1.5 hours, you are increasing the time progressively. So it wouldn't appear to be very burdensome to you also. It would be doable. And now starts the consolidation of all the current affairs. This time, in these 20-day cycle, cover the entirety of the current affairs from January to December 2024. Then the same GS subject in the evening of Saturday. Saturday in the morning, test paper. Sunday, test paper, analysis, and revision. This is one of the most vital components of your entire preparation schedule. How you are able to revise on a weekly basis. Okay, this will only give you more strength and more confidence. Then comes the final phase, so to say, 25th April to 10th of May, right? This is a 15-day cycle. Now, in this case, revise the portion of GS, Geography plus Environment in the morning, test paper in the afternoon, preferably in the time slot of CSAT paper that you are going to appear for. Then GS, History, whatever you have studied in history, revise that. Then on Saturday, observe here the change. On Saturday, you have to revise Science plus Environment. So observe in the evening slot deliberately, I have kept history since when? In the evening slot from 25th of March all the way till 10th of May, I have given you time for history, art and culture, medieval, modern, ancient, all of that. That should be more than sufficient if you are able to follow this. Then in the evenings, CSAT, revision of current affairs, this time from Jan to Feb 2025. If possible, March 2025 also, you complete that portion. Test paper, analysis and revision of all the mistakes that you have done in the test. Every mistake that you have committed in the test, all the content sheet that you have prepared out of the test, that is something which will be included in this phase. So understand, by 10th of May, not only is your entire syllabus complete, but you are able to revise that syllabus once already. You are able to cover the current affairs twice already. You are able to cover CSAT every day. You are able to appear for more than 20 to 30 tests. So that will give you an entire collection of around 3,000 MCQs. If you have practiced 3,000 or 2,000 MCQs, and with full honesty, and if you have analyzed your mistake, the test series is never to see how much you are able to score. Test series is to see where can I improve. Understand your own mental pattern. In which kind of questions are you always committing mistakes? In which chapter, regardless of how much you are studying, you are always committing mistakes? Which is the portion that you feel that you have covered, but still you feel there is a lack of content? That is what the test series are for. Most of the candidates take the test series that, okay, I have scored 120 in one of the test papers. Now I don't need to appear for test series. I will get through the prelims. No. Test series and test papers in that way can be misleading. So always take a look at what you can extract out of it. So by 10th of May, you can say that your syllabus is comprehensively covered and you have managed to revise that. You still have around 10 to 15 days left. Let's suppose you overshoot this target by 5 days. So what do you do in those final 10 to 15 days? Do you chill out? No. At least till the prelims? No. After prelims, you take a 1 week off, but till prelims, you don't have time. And that is the reality. So basically, in those final 10 to 15 days, revision of high return of investment subjects and the topics from where questions are always asked. So high ROI subjects like polity, where all the questions more or less, they will be coming from that book, right? The reference book. So, or the lectures that you have covered. So cover this first, then go for economy, geography. The portions of geography, for example, climatology is one of those high return areas. Then, for example, let's suppose places in news, all of that has to be revised. Reports, places in news, current affairs, government schemes, all of that, whichever is left over from your comprehensive revision till now, cover that. Then, revision of tests. please do not pick up any new topic in this 10 to 15 days. No new topic, no new content. Okay? No new PDF. Please do not indulge in exploratory studies in those 10 to 15 days. That you will have many of your colleagues also who will come to you that, look, I have this PDF compilation. There was a question which was asked in 2017 and there was one question in 2021 also from this PDF. This is a PDF of 100 pages. Never fall in that trap. One question is never going to decide whether you clear the prelims exam or not. If your entire preparation is going to be hinged on that one question, that means you are not prepared enough to clear the exam, right? So have that level of confidence in you. Okay, with this you will be able to cover the entire portion and you will be well armed when you reach the prelims exam hall. Now, when I say revision of high ROI subjects, or what portion to study in the GS right now, do you start the studies from the very basic? If possible, fair enough. But always take a look at return on investment. What do I mean by that? We'll talk about it. So basically, which topics do we have to study? So always ROI is important. ROI as in, how much time am I investing for that coverage? How much time am I investing? And how many questions will come from that? Right? For example, let me give you an example from the subject of geography itself. Now, in geography, you had a question. Consider the following minerals. In India, which of the above is or are officially designated as major minerals? Now, on the face of it, if you know the classification of the minerals, if you have rectified the major and the minor minerals, you might be able to solve it. But many of the candidates will start learning these facts just because it was asked in the exam once. Now, you will spend around a week just to study and digest this. But then the chances are, if the question is changed ever so slightly, you will commit a negative negative marking, or you will commit a mistake. So please do not fall in this trap. Okay, anything which will take you more than 2 days to cover or more than 1.5 days to cover, and the chances of questions are coming from that is maybe that one question is asked every 2 to 3 years. No, better revise a subject like polity so that you can get 16 out of 16 correct, because your competition will get that. Better revise economy. Better revise the economic survey for the year. Better revise the government scheme. Better revise climatology in geography. Better revise the list of or the kind of various different movements which have occurred in the freedom movement, right, in modern history. Like that, always revise the high yielding areas from where there's a greater probability of question being asked. Please don't get trapped in learning all the national parks, all the wildlife sanctuaries. For that, we will come out with a video for places in news, the entire compilation for the past year, all the important protected areas in news, all the important species in news, and we will give you the type of questions also which can be asked from that. You can take a look at our Conquer Prelims program. You can attend those lectures and get a brief glimpse into that as well. Now, after that, we basically take a look into how to analyze the test series. But before that, an announcement for all of you. All those who are preparing for the examination the following year or the year after that, while this entire strategy works for you as well, but to ensure the comprehensive coverage of GS, and in order to ensure that you leave no stone unturned and you assure success in the prelims, mains as well as interview, we have the new course which is launching from 27th of Jan 2025. That will start with Indian polity and that will be taken by Sarmad Sir. Now, you can use the code IS English. You can avail 55% off and you have very lucrative price offering as well. Now, having said that, coming back to the topic. So basically, as I tell you about the test paper, that you have to appear for the test paper, you have to appear for the test series, you have to attempt the test. What do you analyze in that? So basically, how to make notes from the test. So there, the division of content, right? Addition of newer content and topics of maximum mistakes. Both of them need to be identified, of maximum mistakes. Now let's suppose I tell you that prepare a content, the notes of the content that is lacking. What do I mean by that? And what do I practice when I actually appear for test paper? If I'm saying that marks are not that important, then what should I practice for? What should I look for? So first of all, how to make notes and what notes to make. So this is a kind of a sample question. Consider the following pairs. Green hushing, what is green hushing is mentioned, what is green lighting is mentioned, what is green shifting. Let's suppose I have marked that question incorrect or I am not aware about this. So immediately I will take up, when I am analyzing the test paper, I will prepare the notes for what do I understand by green hushing, what do I understand by green lighting, what do I understand by green shifting. 1 point note. Okay, even if I have got this correct by guesswork, still this is the strategy which has to be followed. Like that, the revision of the test paper in the month of last April and first half of May, that will serve as the most powerful material that nobody can provide you, because that will point out your errors, and that is going to be different for everyone. Everyone tends to commit mistake in different type of areas. Everyone has got a lack of content in different areas. This is your customized strategic notes that you have prepared. Now, what to practice when I am appearing for, or when I am taking a look at the PYQs, when I am taking a look at the test paper. So how to apply logic? For example, take a look at this question. Magnetite particles suspected to cause neurodegenerative problems are generated as environmental pollutants from which of the following? Now, if you take a look at this, it might appear to be very confusing. But here, if you think about it, magnetite consists of iron. Now, telephone lines will never generate iron particles, isn't it? So here, if you eliminate 5, then automatically you are able to reach the answer. So that is what you practice. Because in the examination, many of the times what happens is that as soon as you are confronted with these 5 to 6 pointers, panic starts that I don't know this, I don't know that. What will I do? So don't do that. So that is what you have to take a look into. The language, the framing, the topics which frequently are asked. That is what you analyze in the test paper. Like that, if you carry out the systematic study, if you ensure that these 120 days, you are going to make each one of them count, that will ensure your success for the prelims, but at the same time, give you a very strong footing for success even in the mains examination. Right? So some of the key components in brief, if I have to summarize. So first, revision of a major GS. Subject. Right? That has to happen in the morning. Right? Then after that, consolidation of current affairs in the afternoon. Be it in the form of reports and indices, places in news, all of that. Consolidation of current affairs, PYQ analysis in the afternoon. Then you have to take a look into allied subjects. Then after that, on a daily basis, CSAT, topic based, year based, comprehension. Practice enough comprehensions and enough passages so that the comprehension doesn't worry you anymore. You have higher efficiency rate, and current affairs. On weekends, the only addition will be test series. Do it regularly. the crux of success in this examination are two things. One is practice, and the other important pillar is basically the ability or having the confidence in you. That self-confidence will help you attempt even those kind of questions which you might have left in one glance. Because now you are confident that your syllabus is complete. So if I know something, that means I will be able to solve it. When you take a look at the prelims question, understand, answer is in front of you in one of those options. You have to apply your logic to reach that answer. That is where confidence plays a very important role. We have come across many candidates who basically the coverage of syllabus was not perfect, but then the confidence in their own ability has carried them through all the way till the merit list. So that needs to be there. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the entire session. I hope that this is a schedule which works for you. I hope that this is a schedule which you can modify and you can utilize if you follow this schedule stringently. And if you are regular and disciplined enough, there is no force in the world which will stop you from success in the prelims. That is something that I can assure. All you need is discipline, punctuality. That's it. Just ensure that these 120 days which are left before the prelims, you make each and every hour of those 120 days count. Because observe the schedule, it is not a very stringent 15-hour schedule. It is around 6 to 8 hours. That's it. That is all that I'm asking you to invest. That much you should invest and you can invest if you want to clear the civil services exam. If you have liked the video and if you have liked the content, please let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to click on the like, share and the subscribe button. Till we meet again, take care, goodbye, thank you.